Hi, Dr. J. Sutliffe here, registered dietitian and health educator for Optimize for Life. This month, we're going to take a look at optimizing your brain function. So we're going to go through some principles, we're going to look at some lifestyle things you can do, some habits, we're going to look at some foods that can enhance your brain activity and your blood flow. So let's get started. First thing we want to look at is, why are we talking about brain health? Seems like you can't pick up a newspaper or a magazine or a journal article today where we're not finding somebody with cognitive impairment or studies being done on memory loss. We all probably have a relative or two that has had some form of dementia or Alzheimer's, so we're finding that it's on the increase. So what we want to do is try to minimize the effects that we have, because what researchers have been finding that sometimes it takes 20 to 30 years before you can really see any kind of brain impairment manifested in a significant way. And they're finding this by doing some of these scans on the brain, and they're finding earlier onset of dementia and things that are taking place. So what I want to do is try to help you fortify and optimize your brain health. So let's get started. So the things we want to look at is some principles. The first thing we want to look at is blood flow. We want to get good oxygenated blood flowing through the body, and especially to the brain. Now, the best way to do that is to start out every day by drinking just some plain, clear water the minute you get up in the morning. Start putting in fluids, increase your blood flow, the circulation comes in, the kidneys start filtering out the toxins, we start urinating more frequently, and so really what we want to do is want to drink enough fluid, okay, to try to get the urine down to a pale, colorless color. And so the bright colors that we have, where they look like Mountain Dew or fluorescent colors, we want to minimize that. So we want to try to drink more fluids, just plain fluids, water, throughout the day. Now, you hear a lot of hype in research articles, on the news, trying to get people to increase their alcohol consumption. Now, the interesting thing that I find out that every single nutrition textbook that I've ever had or used, it classifies alcohol as a toxin. Now, I don't know about you, but toxins in your body actually diminish your brain function. What they're doing with the alcohol, we're on fluids right now, so when you talk about alcohol, using alcohol for a fluid, they're trying to take the few studies that show that when you use wine, okay, the active ingredients in wine that help with brain function, okay, they're looking at one item. They're looking at that nutrient. Now, taking that nutrient and putting it into a fermented beverage does not increase nutritional value. Again, remember, alcohol is a toxin. It's toxic to the brain. It's toxic to the body. So we want to minimize, or better yet, eliminate alcohol consumption. If you want to get the nutrients that are found in red wine and so forth, eat the grapes or drink the juice. Okay? Fermenting it does not increase the nutritional value. Another culprit that has to do with brain function, we're hearing a lot of things coming out, and you know who's behind these studies. When you start looking behind who's in a sense financed the studies, the next one we're going to look at is caffeine. Okay, so people are drinking a lot of coffee. People are addicted to coffee. They want to get up in the morning and they need that jolt. Okay, now the interesting thing that I find is that coffee and caffeine itself is not a nutrient necessary for the body. So what's going on? Why does it give you an increased blood flow and things like that? What it is, it's a vasoconstrictor, okay, and it works with the kidneys. Caffeine actually comes in and causes the vessels to narrow, so in a sense your heart rate goes up. It's a stimulant, and what it's doing, it's releasing, forcing the adrenal glands just on top of the kidneys, which are called the renal glands. So, adrenal glands. So the adrenal glands right on top of the renal glands are secreting more cortisol, causing the vessels to narrow, heart rate to go up, and so basically it's a stimulant. The caffeine itself does not have energy in it. It's forcing your body to make energy in a false sense of way. So what I'm saying to do, get up in the morning, drink some plain water, and then get the blood flowing. Okay? Get your body moving, and when you get into the shower, a little bit later on I'll talk about this, do a contrast shower where you're doing hot and cold treatments on your body, and it'll have the same kind of effect. It'll cause the vessels to narrow and widen, narrow and wide, narrow and wide. It's going to be pushing the blood through, and you're not going to have this high and low, and you're not going to create a dependency where you have to have more and more dosage. So, again, principle number 1, drink plain fluids. So many people are dehydrated. Just plain dehydration. So get the blood flowing, because then the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood increases. You're going to get more oxygen to the brain, and you're going to get greater blood flow. So that's principle number 2. Number 3 is that activity. Get up and get some activity in the morning. Get out in the fresh air. Breathe with the lungs. If you have to get on a stationary bike or something like that, that's fine. Get out in the open air, though, ideally. Okay, get the blood flowing. Okay, and then you want to get the increased blood flow with the water. Now you're going to start thinking better. You're going to get toxins out of the body. Okay, filtered out. The body's been filtering the blood at night while you're sleeping. And so what we want to see is to let the liver take all those toxins, put them in the bile, get them out of the body, get all the waste products to the kidneys, get those out of the body. So fluids, increased activity. And then number 3, we want to increase the micronutrient density of our diet. Okay? In nutrition, again, remember, we talk about macronutrients, which are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. That's where we get our calories from. Okay? And some other nutrients. And then there's micronutrients, which is vitamins and minerals. So for brain function, the best thing that we want to do is get plenty of B vitamins every day throughout the day. Now, B vitamins are basically found in all of the fresh food, okay, such as these oranges, these mangoes, these bananas. We're going to see some good B vitamins there. So we want to have those in every meal. Some of the greens we eat, they're going to have B vitamins. The pigments, like the red pigment here in the peppers, B vitamins. Okay, and then also when we start looking at some of the beans, like pinto beans, okay, some of the garbanzo beans, some of the whole grains like quinoa, oatmeal, granola, things like that. All of these are very rich in B vitamins. And B vitamins help the brain function, helps convert food to energy. And so what we want to do is make sure that we're including a wide variety of whole foods, as minimally processed as possible. Okay? So we've got fluids, increase the activity, increase the micronutrient density of your diet. And again, remember, the greens are extremely rich in micronutrients. Okay, so lots of greens, at least a really large entree-sized salad every single day, and then add other vitamins and minerals through these different foods here on top of the green salad. Maybe you want to put some beans on top of those. Garbanzos, again, are my favorite. Put those on there. And so there you're going to have a lot of B vitamins. So increase your blood flow and oxygen to the brain by increased amount of fluids, activity, B vitamins, and next we're going to shift gears over to healthy fats. We hear a lot of talk about omega-3 fatty acids, but really what we want to do is we want to have a good balance between the omega-3s, the omega-6s, and the omega-9s. And so what I've done is I've brought out an assortment of fresh seeds and fresh nuts. Okay? And we like to store them in glass containers in the refrigerator to keep them fresher. This is pumpkin seeds. Okay? Some omega-9s in there. We have sunflower seeds. And so we take the sunflower seeds, the pumpkin seeds, the sesame seeds. We're going to get a nice blend of omega-3, 6, and 9. We'll eat these on our salads. Or better yet, we'll bring in the flax. We'll grind up some of the flax. We'll grind up some almonds and do a little almond meal. And then we'll put in whole flax, and my wife will put it into a nice paste, and then we'll start seasoning it. Maybe put some tomatoes in here, and maybe like a pizza seasoning. And we have like pizza flax crackers. And in fact, here's a good idea. We take these and we make them into these, and then we just put them in the oven on the lowest setting possible. And what we do is we even use this for a pizza crust. So we'll lay it out on a cookie sheet, blend up some almonds, some flax, maybe a little bit of sunflower seeds, some of these other seeds, and then whole flax, hold it together nicely, create a nice gel, put it on the cookie sheet, put it in a cylindrical round shape, and then we'll bake that for maybe a couple hours on a real low temperature, and then we'll bring it back and we'll make several of them, and then we'll have them as backup, and then we'll decorate them just like you would with a pizza. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to look at some other healthy fats. We want to look at these walnuts. Walnuts are the king of the nut and seed family. And so what we have here is walnuts. So again, we want to have a good blend of these healthy fats, omega-3, 6, and 9s, walnut seeds, different things like that. And again, those are going to help with the brain function. You've heard a lot about omega-3, 6, and 9s. There you go. And you really don't need to be going to the fish oils and things like that to get your healthy fats. Because think about this. Where did the fish get the fish oil? They ate smaller fish. Where did the smaller fish get? They ate it from eating the algae and the green leafy vegetables of the sea. Okay? So really what we can do is eat more green leafy vegetables. We eat the healthy fats. We blend them all together with the whole foods, the grains, the seeds, the nuts, and some of the beans and things like that. And we get a nice blend of nutrients together like that. And we're getting them in a natural way, nicely distributed here. And again, remember, we're doing the healthy fats. Now, if we're eating a lot of saturated fat, okay, that has a tendency to clog up the arteries, and we're consuming a lot of processed foods, a lot of processed grains and things like that, causing the blood sugars to go up dramatically, what we're seeing is we're setting the stage up for atherosclerosis, or the hardening of the arteries. The linings are narrowing down, and so we're restricting the blood flow to the brain. So that's why we're talking about healthy fats. The unhealthy fats are the ones that are solid at room temperature, okay? And they're typically the animal fats. Okay, if you ever cook something like some bacon or some other food, and when you get done, you let the pan sit there and it cools down, and you have that sludge in there. Think about that. When it goes down to room temperature, okay, we can have that sludge in there, and that's what's happening. It sludges up the blood and restricts the blood flow to the brain. Okay, so we want to minimize the saturated fat in our diet and come in with these monounsaturated fats in their natural state. Again, these are just raw seeds and nuts. They're not roasted, okay, in oil. Now, if you want to heat them up and get a little more flavor out of your almonds, we do that sometimes. We take some almonds and we'll roast them for a short period of time. Just toast them up a little bit with no oil, okay? Just enhance the flavor. Okay, so let's recap a little bit. Again, fluids, increase the blood flow. Minimize or cut out caffeine and alcohol. Those are not health foods, okay? Processed oils are not health foods, okay? These things are these hypes, that these things take isolated little studies, or these studies where they take an isolated little part of the food and look at it in isolation. We're looking at the big picture. Increased blood flow with water, physical activity, micronutrients from a wide variety of whole foods, as minimally processed as possible. Healthy fats at every meal. Maybe you throw in a couple almonds with each meal, or some seeds or some nuts. Okay? And then what we're finding is that in response to these types of foods here, it's bringing the inflammation down. In fact, we just did a 6-week study this last year, and we found that in 6 weeks, when people would transition to a whole foods, predominantly plant-based diet, bringing the inflammation down in their body, they could cut their depressive symptoms in half in just 6 weeks by putting in these principles into their daily life. Okay, so inflammation in the body causes inflammation in the brain, restricts the blood flow. When you minimize the inflammation, we see greater blood flow, better thought processes to the brain, with the brain and so forth. So that's what we want to do, is we want to minimize the inflammation. And all of these steps I'm talking about are actually doing that for you. Okay, another thing we can do, I talked about it earlier, talk about contrast showers. So think about this. You're taking a shower, say in the morning, maybe you got some water in, you kind of cleanse the bowels out. Okay, you got out and you got some activity, maybe you had some quiet time, you collected your thoughts, you did some prayer, you did some focused thinking, and you just kind of clear your thoughts, got away from the stimulation of all the electronic gadgets in your life. Okay, then you're getting into the shower. Okay, and you get into the shower, you're having a nice warm shower. As you're getting to the end there, you want to start going into a cold setting on your shower, okay, because it's causing the blood flow to be pushed and pulled in your system. So you do 3 minutes of hot, 1 minute of cold, 3 minutes of hot, 1 minute of cold, ending on the cold. So that's going to, in a sense, push the blood through the system, through the vessels, contracting and dilating. Contract and dilate, contract and dilate. And you know what? You'll find that you do not need caffeine to get your heart rate up and so forth, and to get the blood pumping. Okay, so those are some things. And then the other thing we want to talk about too is that we want to make sure we're getting adequate, good sleep every night. Get into a good sleep cycle. That also, when you get into a good sleep pattern, brings down the inflammation in the body and actually restores the body to a homeostatic status. Okay? So, there we have it. Plenty of fluids, plenty of B vitamins, physical activity, We want to get a good balance, get some good protein, good plant-based protein in each meal. These seeds and nuts over here are also bringing in some nice protein source there. We want to eat these on a regular basis. And the last thing I want to talk about now, remember, I've talked a lot about the food. I'm a food first guy. I think that we should approach these things from a food first perspective. Now, some people are so deficient in nutrients, they may need a little bit of help getting in concentrated nutrient sources. Okay, I go with foods first. Secondly, the backup is you may want to consider taking in some specific dietary supplements that could help with your brain function. A product that I like to use if I may be in a hurry or I don't have an opportunity to eat as many greens as I'd like to, I do a green magma. Now, I'm not pushing this brand. I just happen to like this brand. You could use whatever variety you like. There's a ton of these green powders on the market. So consider using a green powder on days that maybe you won't get enough greens in, or you want to add this to it while you're playing some catch up. Okay? The next thing I want to talk about is maybe you want to take in some liquid B12 for brain function. Maybe you're not, your digestive tract and your immune system's compromised. Okay? You may want to take a few drops of B vitamin B12 underneath the tongue on a daily basis or every other day. Okay? So, in summary, we're trying to get greater blood flow and oxygen to the tissues and especially the brain here. And these nutrients help build up the brain tissue, the healthy fats, the B vitamins, okay, the plenty of fluids. And if you need a little extra help there, you might want to look at some supplementation. And if you want to look at some supplementation for the omega-3s, you might want to look at a product that's a blend of EPA and DHA. Okay, and you can find it in a vegan variety where it doesn't have all the oily fish in there, or it doesn't have the contamination of the mercury. And so you can look at it, it could be a vegan based. I've seen several on the internet, and they're actually grown in an algae and not using animal products. So that's EPA, DHA in the same product, and you can maybe get it, find it in a dropper bottle as well. Okay, so this is Dr. J. Sutliffe for Optimize for Life. We've been looking at brain health. So start practicing these on a daily basis, and let's fortify our brains so we have that cognitive impairment, so we don't have the Alzheimer's going on in our compromised brain function. So this is to you, and hopefully this will help you fortify your brain and optimize your life. Thank you.